I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're tackling bedtime struggles with a charming and heartwarming children's story. It's written by an amazing author. Her name is Sylvia A. Greenlee, and she's penned a beautiful book. It's called I Don't Want to Go to Bed. And she has created a delightful tale to help kids like her grandson Nolan understand everyone needs sleep, even animals. This beautifully illustrated book is the perfect solution for parents looking to make bedtime a little easier and a lot more fun. We're
Yeah.
delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel, by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you on the show. This is a wonderful book. It was kind of inspired by your grandson, Nolan. Tell us about that.
Well, when my son and daughter-in-law discovered they were pregnant, Becky wanted to take a class at the hospital. She had never taken care of kids. She never babysat. She just didn't, she was afraid she wouldn't know what to do. My son, on the other hand, had been taking care of kids for years, and
Mm.
he knew exactly what to do. But, you want to keep your wife happy, so they went to this class. And they said, all you have to do is put your baby to bed and lay him down and let him cry himself to sleep.
Mm.
Well, Nolan didn't cry. He screamed and screamed
Yeah.
and screamed and eventually screamed himself to sleep.
Mm.
But it was pretty serious. In fact, at one point, my son took him up to the neighbors upstairs. They live in a townhouse.
Mm.
And he had to apologize for screaming, keeping the man awake.
Amazing.
But he did.
Yeah.
And of course, now he doesn't do that anymore. He's 9, so he's fine. But that's what got me thinking this young man needs to know that everybody sleeps.
Mm.
So, and I went on Google, I think it was, and looked up how animals sleep, and I was very surprised at some of the things I learned.
Yeah.
So we both learned something about animals and the way they sleep.
Very cool. Give the folks at home an overview of your book.
Um, it is basically a story about how Nolan wouldn't go to sleep and was screaming. And so I gave him information about how all the animals sleep.
Mhm.
I didn't know that hummingbirds sleep hanging upside down like a bat.
Hmm.
I had no idea. But I listed several animals and how they all sleep. And it was published. And interestingly enough, he was young enough when he first got the book that he knew it was from me, but he didn't quite understand it was about him.
Mhm.
And then about 6 months later, his mom and dad finally convinced him, this is about you. And so he learned that, oops, I guess I better stop screaming. So in that regard, it did help.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's a
Yeah.
very cool book, and I love the fact that it teaches children about all these different animals and their sleeping habits. I learn things like you learn things, and that's part of a good children's storybook is that you're not only entertaining them, you're also educating them, and in this case, also comforting them with the knowledge as well. Did your background in social work and therapy influence
Yes,
the
it
story at
is.
all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, I did clinical therapy with my youngest client was 3 years old,
Hmm.
very precocious, and she caught on like crazy. In fact, she solved her own problem. And
Mhm.
then my oldest was 87, and she was just a sweet, darling woman that I really enjoyed working with.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us
Yeah.
about the wonderful illustrations in this book.
Um, it was illustrated by Newman Publishing, who did the book for me.
Mhm.
Um, I liked it all except for the hummingbirds. I didn't think they looked much like hummingbirds, but it's okay. And the kids get the message that, even birds sleep.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite part of the book for you?
or me.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the part about how the ducks and geese sleep. This is something else I didn't know. I didn't know that they would sleep in a tight circle
Mm.
with one duck on one side and one duck on the other side, staying awake to watch for predators.
Huh.
And so that was new to me. And I mean, I think I knew how. Well, the other thing was I didn't know that elephants lean against trees to sleep.
Huh.
I thought that was amazing. But
Yeah.
they elephants sleep and they lean against a tree or they'll lean against each other to sleep. So I liked that. I really enjoyed finding out how these animals slept. I knew about, dogs and cats and um, horses and things like that, but several of these things were sort of a surprise.
Yeah. A surprise to me too. Wonderful. And have you envisioned this as a video at all, or a cartoon, or something to entertain children at bedtime?
Well, yes and no. I was sort of surprised that Spotlight was interested in that,
Mhm.
and I'm thrilled to death. And yeah, I think it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I think it would be a terrific video. So hopefully Hollywood gets the word and turns it
That's
into
right. That's
something.
right.
That would be great.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm writing a sequel. It's called
Okay.
But I Don't Want a Baby Brother, which he gets whether he wants it or not.
Exactly. That's great. And that's a real hardship on children. I mean, when you bring another child home, it's almost like a
That's
husband
right.
bringing another wife home.
Right.
It's
Right.
a real lifestyle adjustment, right?
Yes, it was. He was not at all happy about having a baby brother. He was pretty insistent that he didn't need a baby brother, but it was sort of like you're having a baby brother, so
Yeah. Amazing, amazing.
yeah,
So tell me a little bit about your writing career. Was this book about bedtime your first book?
that was my first book. Right
Okay.
now I have the I Don't Want a Baby Brother in the works,
Hmm.
and I've been working on a novel for a while, and it's about three-quarters finished. So I need to get myself in gear and get that finished. And
Okay.
it's a lovely book.
Okay.
It's about these women who have incredible powers, but they can do no harm.
Hmm.
And they have to fight evil without doing harm. So it's really very interesting
That
and
sounds
fun. I
great.
have enjoyed writing it.
Sounds a little bit like an Alice Hoffman type of novel with the
It
witches.
does, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, women with special powers and so forth. Yeah, that sounds terrific.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to have you back on the show when you have that ready. And this book, of course, is available online, the one we were talking about today, about the bedtime
right,
book. But it's also available in bookstores, which is almost unusual nowadays because they
right.
are a dying breed, but there are some independent bookstores out there. And so you can pick up this book in person in Grace Lake, Illinois at This Old Book. In Great Barrington, Massachusetts, you can go to the Book Loft. In my favorite spot, Brooklyn, New York, you can go to Here's a Bookstore. In Hyattsville, Maryland, My Dead Aunt's Books, which is a wonderful name for a bookstore, without a doubt. And then in Ontario, Canada, Newsboy Books. So if you want, go to a bookstore and enjoy this book in person and in your hands and see real life people and don't have just a digital life. That would be nice. Um,
It would.
yeah. Have you had the chance to read this book to any children besides Nolan?
No, just my grandson.
Okay.
I'm just not around a bunch of children. I'm 76 and little kids just don't hang around. I mean, who wants to hang around unless it's your grandmother, who wants to hang around with an old woman? So,
Well, you're not an old woman. I'm sure you're
no,
plenty fun to hang out with. You've got some great ideas. You've written this beautiful book, and that's wonderful as well. The name of the book is I Don't Want to Go to Bed. In it, the author has created a delightful tale to help kids like her grandson, Nolan, understand that everyone needs sleep, even animals.
right.
The book is beautifully illustrated, and it is the perfect solution for parents looking to make bedtime a little easier and a lot more fun. And I've got a little inspiration for you. Is another
Yes.
thing kids often fuss about is getting their hair cut. So
Oh,
I used to have to
yes,
hold my son in a bear hug while the
yes,
barber cut his hair, and he'd be
y-
screaming and writhing the whole time. So maybe
yep.
Nolan
Yeah,
gets a
that's not
haircut or
good.
something.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I hadn't thought of that, but I don't want a haircut.
exactly,
Very,
there you go. That's your next
thank
book.
you for number three.
All right, just give me the hat tip in the forward. That's all I want. That's great.
Okay,
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Sylvia.
you're welcome.
And to the folks at home,
I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. I enjoyed speaking with you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.